Prabhu was commenting how there's no success without opposition. This is the Eastern method, martial arts. Opposition and enemy strength against themselves. So they're only hurting themselves. There's no violence on our part. There's no positive, negative force on our part. So I just wanted to read a couple of minutes of an article I read yesterday about what our opposition is and how important this Goshala project is. So this is about a report that came out of Chennai, your area, right? You too, someone else?
Yeah, other front.
Yeah, you have a lot of work to do there.
Chennai.
It's called the Center's Pink Revolution. So everyone's heard of the Green Revolution, right? That was there in India, Punjab especially. So the Pink Revolution, from what I can ascertain, is said rather than growing the plants for feeding India and the world, pink means growing beef and exporting beef, from what I can understand. So, according to data compiled by the Animal Husbandry departments of all states, meat from registered slaughterhouses increased 5.57 lakh tons in 2008 to 8.05 lakh tons in 2011. Export earnings from bovine meat expected to touch 18,000 crore rupees in 2012-2013. India became the world's top exporter of beef in 2012. Uttar Pradesh is the top buffalo producing state with 3 lakh tons in 2011. At least 70% of the buffalo meat is exported. Our meat is lean and cheaper. We supply halal meat, which is preferred in the Gulf countries. So this is interesting that so many countries are exporting beef, especially Australia and New Zealand have been number 1 and 2. Now India's just overtaken them. And the main reason they've overtaken is because the increased appetite for beef in the Gulf countries. But they need it to be halal. And you know what halal means?
Yeah, you slaughter slowly or something.
Portion.
Yeah, it means while the animal's alive, you slit the throat. You see, they have a standard for most of the world for beef producers, slaughterers, that they have to stun, they have to use a stun gun. And so they use that, they have to use that in Australia and New Zealand, so therefore the Gulf countries will not buy from them because it's not halal. But so now they're buying from India because they don't have the same restrictions there.
It's all business.
Yeah. So not only that, they're willing to give halal meat, which means they don't even have the decency to stun the animal first before they slit the throat. But also, it's seen how in their transport, production and transport, that the animals are not even fed, given water or fed, or just the basic care. Restrictions, regulations that they have in other countries around the world, especially like in America, you see. So this is big, very big problem. And That's happening there in India. You're all from India, most of you are from India. So now you're in America, starting a project like this. As Prabhupada came from India, no one wanted to listen, everybody knew Krishna. So he came to America to those who were willing to listen. Then he took them back to India, and the Indians started hearing Krishna in a way they never heard before. So possibly the same thing will happen. That you all devotees who come from India, but you might not have been devotees when you came, I'm not sure. But by Prabhupada's mercy, he came first. And starting a project like this, and more projects, can again, the news can go back to India and show them that the way they're going is the wrong direction. The way, how you're using the cows for exploiting and just for your pocketbook is not going to give any peace, and it's not even going to give any food on the table in the long run. It's not sustainable. This type of culture based upon eating animals. It's not sustainable. We don't have the water for it on this planet. We don't have the soil for it. Just like I was just reading how after the Second World War, they learned how to use the nitrogen that they were producing for the weapons and putting it into fertilizers. But they didn't realize that those fertilizers, they have a lifespan in terms of how much they can help the soil. After a while, it becomes more and more depleted. You see, but with the cows, when they're allowed to graze naturally in the pastures, then whatever they're taking in, they're putting back even more. Just like we have, you know, some places they say whatever tree we cut down for our publishing, for our paperworks, whatever we use the tree for, we plant 10 more trees. So the cows are like that. Whatever they're taking, they're giving back more. It's natural recycling. The problem comes when man wants to think that he's going to increase better nature. He's better than God. He's going to tweak nature in such a way that we can take a shortcut. But there aren't any shortcuts. Because whatever exploitation that we perform to nature or to any of the other species of nature, we have to understand we're all part of one internet unit. And it's going to come back to us. It's just a matter of time. So especially anybody who has children, or thinks of having children, or your children are going to have children, you have to think about these things. And what kind of planet we want to give to our descendants. So it starts with right now. That we have to have a longer term vision, which means Tapal Divyam Putrikayena Shadvam. This is one verse from 5th canto, Rishabdev Prabhupada used to like to quote. That human life is meant for performing a tapasya, an austerity, some kind of sacrifice by which we can get something greater in the long run, which is Brahma Saukyam Tvanantam, unlimited spiritual bliss. Brahma Saukyam Tvanantam, that type of Saukyam, Brahma Saukyam, that's what the soul is wanting. But the problem is, you see, in this modern day and age, people don't have knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And they think they've read Gita, but they don't have the basic knowledge, which is, Dehinosmin Yata Dehe Kamadam Yogananchara. This body is not me. So as soon as we understand that, the people don't want to understand that, even when they hear it, that I'm something else than the body. Okay? Because that creates a problem. That creates a problem. That if I'm not the body, if I'm a spirit in the body, then the question becomes, why am I in a material body? I mean, that sounds good, that I'm eternal spirit, I don't die, I have a higher nature, I'm something else in the body. Sounds good, okay. But the problem is, why am I in this body then? So you have to answer that question. Where did I come from? Why have I come here? Is there another dimension? Is there another place? Is there another environment? that I've come from. What am I supposed to be doing there? So one question leads to another, and they don't like where those questions lead to. Because it means that there's a whole nother purpose, there's a higher meaning in life, and if I'm consciousness in this body, then there means that there's probably higher consciousness behind reality, ultimate reality, and people don't want to accept that. So they'd rather just stop at the first point. Yeah, I'm my body, and eat, sleep, marry, and defend is the purpose of my life, and I don't have to think about anything for the future. But then they claim to be loving their children, and they don't think about their children's future. So this is the problem. You see, as soon as we get away from spiritual life, as soon as we get away from God, then we create so many different problems, even on a material level. But if we live with the larger perspective, then even right now, in the here and now, we actually live a more healthy, peaceful, satisfied life than the materialist who has no faith in anything else. So it's all tied together. It's all tied together. This basic philosophy of the Gita, spirit and matter, two different things. We're spirit, we're Atma, and the way we live our life in this world right here and now. And again, we're not. Everything's interconnected. We can't think that we're going to become happy at the expense of someone else's happiness. And that someone else doesn't just mean our family members, our husband or wife, or a couple of kids. It doesn't just mean our expanded family. It doesn't just mean our village or our country or our species, humanity. It means they're also part of our family. All the animals, everyone which is living. We don't even have a right to necessarily take a branch off a tree or step on an ant at all. We all have the same right to be here. But then if people claim, yeah, but we're higher, we're more advanced species, then I say prove it. Prove it by living in a compassionate way. Like they say, live simply so that others can simply live. We don't understand. Ishavasam sarvam yat jagat jagat. Ishapanishad says everything is owned and controlled by the Lord. So we have a quota, each one of us. Everything that's living here, there's enough to support that life. But if we take our quota, if we take any more, then we create the imbalance and that struggle. And that applies to all the other species as well. So it's not possible. It is not possible to buy happiness. Like we can go to the store and buy some kind of technology, or we can pay a PR company and buy some kind of fame, or even pay a plastic surgeon and buy some kind of beauty. You can't buy happiness like that. You can buy all kinds of limited kind of sense gratification, but it will not satisfy the Atma. There's no question about it. No one has ever been satisfied in that way. They simply become more and more mad. Every day, when you get on the internet, look at the newspaper, every day there's a story about a new star, a new movie star who's going for rehab. Right? This, what's her name? Lohan? What's it? This fellow, Charlie Sheen? On and on and on and on. With my day, when I was young, big heroes, they were the rock stars who either ended up overdoping on drugs or committing suicide. Jim Morrison, Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin, all these people. They had it all made. They were on top of the world. Everybody was adoring them. They were like God. They couldn't handle it. They couldn't even handle it enough to maintain their life. It doesn't come like that. So we cannot expect to become happy by imposing our right on someone else, taking away their rights by exploiting them. It's not possible. And this is just the law of existence, the law of nature. But rather, when we learn how to serve them instead of exploit them, then we have to learn what it means to serve them. Because ultimately, even if we become a big philanthropist, even a big animal rights activist with PETA, big environmentalist to protect nature. Something is missing. We have to know how to help those living entities. Just making sure that we don't kill them, feeding them, giving some clothes to someone, giving some medicine to someone, that's not going to help the Atma, their Atma any more than ours. So what the Atma needs is to understand that we're part of a larger consciousness, Supreme Lord, Krishna, to render service, bhakti, to that Supreme. And that is satisfying to ourself because we're connected part of the whole. It can't be any other way. And we have to then understand it works for me, it'll work for every Atma. So that is the real seva, that's the real help, assistance that we can give everyone. But meanwhile, we have to show them that they're not our enemy by unnecessarily exploiting and harming them. We have to live in such a way that they see that we're their friends. And then they can hopefully hear that from us as well. Thank you for coming here today, and
Thank you.
To tell your friends as well, to all the people that you know, and let's keep on getting this message out, because it's a big problem, as you heard, in India, and it's a big problem in America. But you know, that's one thing about America is as Prabhupada found out, it's fertile ground for new ideas to take hold, you know, or even ancient ideas like Goraksha, like crop protection and the message of Bhagavad Gita. But if people's minds are open, you know, and if they take to it in this country, then the other countries in the world can look and follow the example. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.